A very good afternoon to everyone. This is Sneha from second year BCom, Sree Vidyanikethan Degree College, Tirupati. On behalf of Commerce Department, I welcome you all to the today's international webinar on Think Like an Entrepreneur. Now I request our Honorable Principal Ma'am, Dr. G. Ashalatha Garu, to welcome the gathering.
Thank you, Sneha. Good afternoon, everybody. It's really always a pleasure to be with the students, faculty, and the teaching and the student community across the country and the world to join with them and then share the knowledge and all the experiences that we have on campus and off campus. So today, indeed, we take pride and privilege as well as pleasure to host our very beloved alumnus, Mr. Sai Kiran Singanamala, to be part of this program, the international webinar on Think Like an Entrepreneur. So it's really interesting because as a teacher or a person, completely devoted to a job, which is completely part of the employee management system or the student management system and all that, this is a dimension which makes each and every education and higher education campuses very dynamic. So every education campus, if they march towards this format of entrepreneurship, even the UGC says that the 5% of the students passing out should be entrepreneurs from the campus. And I, being the resource person for the EDI programs and the training programs for the past 12, 13 years in the country, working with the government of India or MHRD or EDI, engineering colleges, and all the colleges that have been there, it's really interesting to see that all of us one day have to think about becoming entrepreneurs, because I think that most of us, we fail at our jobs only because of one reason, that is we feel very insecure about it. So that's the thing. That's where all the problem starts. But I think we don't have such problems in Sree Vidyanikethan campus. We are very proud to be part of Sree Vidyanikethan group of education institutions and Sree Vidyanikethan Educational Trust. So on behalf of Sree Vidyanikethan Degree College, I welcome everybody for this international webinar on Think Like an Entrepreneur. So the first thing that we would like to tell you is that our very honorable chairperson, Padmasree Dr. M. Mohan Babu Garu, our very revered CEO, Sri Vishnu Garu, and the entire administrative and management team, they've always supported us to do wonderful and excellent programs to keep us connected with the students and see that there is some value addition to take us, to be on par with the other accredited or premier institutions and make ourselves distinct and pioneer all the educational excellence that we can bring about in this part of the world. So we want to be the torch bearers for anybody who would like to take up innovative ideas, and we are surging ahead with the leadership that we have got in order to bring in a lot of entrepreneurship across the communities with which we are working in and instilling that confidence in the students. So as I was just noting, so when we have a feeling of securities or insecurities in our mind, we'll be actually having a kind of a compartmentalization. We will have a kind of feeling that we are tied up and we have restrictions. But when we think, what can we do different tomorrow? I think that gut feeling itself is a kind of an initiation for entrepreneurship. When we just feel that, yeah, we can just do it tomorrow, I think anything that we're going to start is going to be very exciting. So in this pandemic time, there's nothing which has stopped us, and everybody has started working out or trying to keep in their innovative ideas, not only to themselves, but started sharing through social media platforms and online in order to see that they can also actually put forward some of their ideas to this world. I think that was a good thing that the pandemic has given us. And Mr. Sai Kiran, it is very nice of you to work with FOODPANDA. We know that being a very global company, they have done so much in the food and grocery delivery chains that they are maintaining, and so much of accreditation that they have got as one of the top companies in the world, as maybe in Asia or in Europe. You know that they have made a mark for themselves. So it's good to know that the students are thinking about a brand new kind of a trend-setting way of establishing themselves. So the same confidence we would like to instill in our students and see that, yeah, there are things which are going to actually bind us to certain limitations, but when we start exploring, there is no limitation for the human spirit. So that is what we wanted to proclaim, and we wanted to actually put forward through this particular webinar, and especially with your thought process and whatever ideas that you can share with all our participants. And I hope that the teachers or the community which is part of this webinar now, all the participants and our students and faculty would definitely benefit and think that, yeah, it's like thinking against the tide or going upstream with very remarkable kind of tenacity and perseverance kind of an attitude. Yes, I'm fine and I can do it, and we can dream big, think big, and achieve big in future. Thank you so much for being our resource person today, and I hope that all the participants, all of us will have a wonderful session. So congratulations to the organizing team, and I am very happy to be part of this international webinar. Welcome everybody once again. Thank you. God bless all of us. Sneha? Ravikanth sir?
Looks like some technical problem, ma'am.
Yeah, technical
problem. Thank you, ma'am. Now I request Ms. Ragasudha from third year BCom to introduce students. Now I request Ms. Ragasudha from third year BCom to introduce our today's eminent resource person, Mr. Sai Kiran Singanamala. Over to you, Ms. Ragasudha.
Hey there. Good afternoon. It's great to see you all, and I hope you all are safe and healthy. I'm Ragasudha Durga, studying final year BCom at Sree Vidyanikethan Degree College, Tirupati. A warm welcome to you all for the international webinar on Think Like an Entrepreneur. Today, we have Mr. Sai Kiran Singanamala. He is an alumnus of Sree Vidyanikethan Degree College in the year 2006-2009 and graduated in BSc. He is the founder of eFood, an entrepreneur networking firm. He is highly skilled in business management, people management, business strategy, business analysis, operation management, marketing, and so on. Later, in 2011, he pursued MSc from Sainath Business School, UK, and specialized in new venture creation and global business operations. Kiran Garu is also president and chairperson of Satellite Alumni Hyderabad. In 2010, he landed as a personal banking officer in BAC Solutions Hyderabad. In 2012, he worked as a customer relationship manager in First Data, Glasgow, UK. 2013 awarded him a position as a deputy manager, Momentum Private Limited, London. In 2014, he was assigned as the position of marketing and operational manager in Smart Noise, India, and was responsible for establishing and implementing goals and objectives of the company. In November 2015, he led the digital marketing team in Mumbai, Goa. In the year 2015, Mr. Kiran Garu joined Swiggy as a senior area sales manager in Hyderabad and contributed to increasing the inventory by 10% and orders by 15%. He was later posted as senior regional launch manager and expanded Swiggy in 22 cities. His hard work got promoted by senior manager in expansion at Hyderabad. Under Mr. Kiran Garu's leadership, Swiggy was able to expand in 400 cities in less than 8 months. In January 2020, he entered FOODPANDA, Malaysia, and contributed ahead of expansion and increased revenue to 15%. In late 2020, he was crowned as the head of territories and was responsible for crossing 1 billion ringgit MYR. Besides, he also formulated various strategies on sales, growth strategy, territory team structure, and monthly operation plan. He also conceptualized and implemented strategies on competitive intelligence and growth curving strategies, which is followed by APAC countries. It is my privilege to introduce Mr. Please start the webinar. Thank you.
Wow, I couldn't have introduced myself better. Thank you very much, Ragasudha. Just a quick thanks to Sneha to host this. And Ashalatha ma'am was able to capture essence of what we are going to talk today. Very interesting to know, or very interested to know that even at at my college, right? I still consider it as my college, that we are encouraging entrepreneurship. And I think, okay, so let me start with a good story now. Hope this is the time to talk as well, sir. So sir, anything else before I start, or did I jump the gun?
Yeah, so you can start.
Okay.
We are waiting to listen to you.
Yeah, sure. Let me start with a quick story about a guy called John Pemberton. Okay, so this guy was an American Civil War soldier. So he got wounded very severely in the war. So he came back to, obviously he came back to his hometown. Then because of the pain that he had, he got addicted to morphine. And if you guys know what morphine is, it's a painkiller, and especially used when the pain is too high. So and he got so addicted to it that he felt it's not a good thing, and it was very frequently happening amongst all the military or the wounded soldiers. So what he thought was, okay, why can't I build something which takes all the soldiers away from this morphine, which has a long-term effects. So then what he did was, he saw that in France there was a drink, a wine, which was made from coca leaf and cola beans. So he got that to US. He started making a concoction, a wine, which was which was similar to the wine that France was making. So then he got it over, started mass producing it, calling it Coca-Cola. And so immediately what happened, after a couple of years, Atlanta banned wine. So he again, what he did, he went back to his drawing board, innovated again, and came back after like a couple of months. He came back with the Coca-Cola that we actually see now. So the formula is still a secret, but yeah, this is how it made, right? So exactly 135 years later, the company is valued at $1.8 billion. So if you think about it, right, the whole entrepreneur as a journey, right, he was not born as an entrepreneur. So he found that there's a problem, then he thought he has to solve it, and look at where we are now. Like I think there cannot be a day without a Coca-Cola, if you cannot think about it. It's one of the biggest, #1 known brand in the world, highly recognized logos, etc. So yeah, this is a story of how someone can actually think like an entrepreneur. So I'm Sai Kiran. Today, I'm going to take you guys through how can we think as an entrepreneur in our everyday lives. It doesn't have to be necessarily start a business, right? And I think I always believed in this, right? That we don't just survive, but thrive. So survival is okay. We are surviving, but thriving is where you're growing, and it can be making more money, or you can be happy. Like there are a lot of things that thriving means, right? So today, I actually want you to think about, or at least invoke a thought in you guys. How do you not just survive, but thrive in whatever we do? Without any further ado, so let me go through the presentations, right? Yeah, so let's start with this. So when I ask this question, right, I think this has been a question that I keep asking pretty much everyone, even my team. Name a couple of entrepreneurs. So what happens is everyone comes back to me and saying Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg. I'm sure you guys know every one of these here, right? The top 10 rich people in the world. But the bigger, okay, what do they have in common? One thing is, they're all billionaires. They have started something from very small and they've become rich. And everyone considered them as an entrepreneur, right? And yes, of course, they are celebrated entrepreneurs. However, the thing that we actually forget, or the things that we can see every day, are these people. If you think about it, even the smallest of the vegetable hawkers, the kirana stores that we call it mom and pop stores, right? The next door, the markets which are like the fruit market, the vegetable market, they're also entrepreneurs, right? So they are there, they're actually solving a problem that exists in a system. So the problem here, what these guys are, what these guys are solving is a different problem altogether. So for example, Mark Zuckerberg is solving a problem of communicating across the world, right? Between different countries or different regions. But that is a bigger scale problem that he's solving. But in a smaller scale, every day, the stores next door, the pharmaceuticals next door, literally the hawker that actually comes and sells vegetables to you, right, is also solving a kind of problem. So let's not see entrepreneurship as solving something like how Amazon does or how Facebook does. They're solving a different problem, and the people around you are solving a very different problem. The reason that I wanted to show you guys today is this, because it is just about how do we perceive the world to be is where we start, right? So, so whatever I'm going to present from this time onwards, it's all based on the experience that I gained over a period of last 7 or 8 years. Of course, most of the material that I present here can be read somewhere on the internet. You can actually go browse, but only whatever I'm putting here is based on what I feel that I look for when I'm hiring people. Probably a step back and understanding what I've done in my career, right? So Ragasudha was able to brief it very well. Just to give you a quick understanding now. So on an everyday basis, so my team, when I was working as senior manager in Swiggy, I used to have 126 people reporting to me. And once I joined FOODPANDA, I have more than 200 people reporting to me from different departments, including marketing, logistics, etc., etc. The biggest problem I face every 6 months or 1 year, whenever we have an annual review or a mid-year review, is that they come to us asking that, okay, I have performed really well in the last 6 months or 1 year, and now this is the time for my promotion. And trust me, I think everyone who comes to me, of course, there are two challenges, right? One, the people who are already working with the organization, they keep coming back and saying, yeah, okay, Kiran, this has been 1 year since I've worked, or 2 years since I've been working with you. When am I getting promoted? Right. That's one. Number two is that when I'm hiring people from outside, a lot of people come with a lot of confidence saying that, okay, I am the right person for you to hire. But when we actually look at this, there are few things that we look at when especially we are hiring for business teams, right? Especially, I mean, the team that I work in, which is a strategic team, we will be looking for few capabilities when either when we are hiring or when we are promoting someone internally, right? So this, whatever I'm presenting now, would be a summary of what my expectations would be, or what most of the managers would look at in my experience, and probably few examples to support or to give you guys a context of what problems we're trying to solve. Yeah. So, okay, the most basic question, right? What is an entrepreneur? Who is an entrepreneur, right? This is a common question I hear, and I think the most common assumption that is out there is that an entrepreneur is a person who sets up a business with an aim to make a profit. Yes, that might be probably 15, 20 years ago, maybe 30 years ago, when everyone had a proper job description and all. But based on the new tradition or the new startups that are coming out, the sentiment on the ground is that the entrepreneur is actually an innovator, and he's a source of new ideas, goods, services, businesses, or procedures, right? So we don't see entrepreneurs as just businessmen anymore. We see entrepreneurs in ourselves as well, or the team who's working with you. So basically, anyone who can actually see a possibility and find a solution for everyday problem that we have, which actually annoys people. Like one of the examples, right? Every day, just imagine this, right? In the morning, your mom wake you up and say, okay, why don't you go get a like 1 liter milk for me? So that's a problem, right? And two problems with two major complaints that you hear. Mom, why are you waking me up so early in the morning? That's number one. Number two is like, oh wow, I need to travel so far, I have to dress up and all. So that's a problem, that's an annoyance, right? And not many of us really work on it. But if you think about it, someone else like FoodPanda or Swiggy, we thought that this problem has a solution and we actually came up with a solution. So that's what an entrepreneur is. And if you go back, take a step back, right, and see how Swiggy has started. Swiggy was just delivering food. Now, I mean, if you think about it now, in most of the major cities, they deliver groceries, they deliver milk, whatever you want every day. So if again, as I was saying, right, everyone else would have seen this as a problem. However, entrepreneurs like Harsha, who actually started Swiggy, had thought, okay, why can't I see a business possibility in this and let me get a solution? He never started this with an intention to make money. He just started that with an intention that, okay, I have to solve a problem wherein I can order food from like 5 kilometers away where I don't have to go out. I just order and the food comes to my place. That is what an entrepreneur is. Okay, I mean, just a quick numbers. I really love numbers, so I'm just putting it over here. Just to quickly see, there are around 582 million entrepreneurs around the world, small and big together. But unfortunately, as I was saying, right, even when I see it, and my mentor who taught me everything about what I need to, what I know about my strategy, always mentions that entrepreneur is everywhere. Like the one who sells you milk, the one who comes and delivers milk to you, the one who delivers newspaper to you, they're all considered as entrepreneurs, but their own scale, right? But unfortunately, when you see at a grander scheme of definition, we are still going with the bigger companies who have limited liability partnership or limited companies set up as a business. So even after that, we see around 582 million entrepreneurs, right? And I keep getting this question as well, right? What is the correct age to get into entrepreneurship? And this is specifically, I'm talking about, I mean, starting up businesses, right? I mean, Ashalatha ma'am very rightly mentioned like 5% of the students that are coming out are setting up some business. Actually, that number, when you see at the entire India level, there 5% of the Indians actually establish own businesses. And if you actually know, if you go a little deeper, 11% of the entrepreneurs have actually, 11% of the entire India has some kind of business set up. And you know, what is the right age to start a business? This is a very, very common question I get, because like, you know, I keep hearing a couple of my friends saying that, oh, you know what, we are beginning like early 30s or late 20s. Let's start something now, because that will give us a good scope or something like that. But there is no, let me start with saying that there's no age to start any business. You can start any business at any point of your life. I mean, if you see this, this numbers as well, right? So around 4% of the people or the businesses were started when the founder and the co-founder were 18 to 29-year-old, and 14% 30 to 39, 40 to 49, 25. And a very interesting 10, which no one actually look at it, is that most of the people after 50 to, I mean, between 50 to 59, like 35% of the people actually start business when they cross 50. And if you see it continues, right? 60 to 69 is 14, some 18%. Another 4% of the people above 70. So if you actually see around 50% of businesses actually come from people who are more than 50-year-olds. So what it means is that there's no right time to start business. You can start anytime when you feel it is right. Probably a couple of more things, what I've heard, like what I read over a period, is that though like we actually hear a lot of businesses starting from the early ages, like when we are young. So yes, the scale is also moving towards younger people starting business. But yeah, as I said, there's no age. And last time I was checking, I mean, I was not very confident about this number because there was no proper article that I could go through to get a number of women or the women in businesses. But last I read was somewhere around 28% of the businesses that are established in the last couple of years were from women entrepreneurs. So there's no age, there's no gender of who can start a business. It's for everyone. Yeah, I'm speaking continuously, but you guys can hear me, right?
Yes, Sai Kiran, we are all
Yes.
listening to you because
Okay.
most of them, they are on YouTube, so they cannot just reply you back, but they'll be giving us the chat. We are following it. So they
Okay,
are
got
very
it.
eagerly listening to you.
Oh, got it. Hope I was like, ma'am, like
Maybe.
my speed is okay, right? Or
ఇప్పుడు
should I?
ఏవి
Yeah,
కాదు మీటింగ్
absolutely fine.
దీనిలో ఉన్నాను నేను చెప్పేసాను
Absolutely fine.
ఆల్రెడీ
Yeah, absolutely.
4:30 తర్వాత
Okay, okay, so let me continue with the same speed, right? Okay, again, what are the traits that an entrepreneur should have, right? So trust me, when I was, obviously this is what I want to inculcate in my team as well. So everyone I hire, I want everyone to think like an entrepreneur, right? So there are, I mean, I did a lot of research on like what are the traits that we should look at when we hire someone as a, or when we consider themselves an entrepreneur. When I went through, there were 30 plus traits that I found. But of course, they're, I mean, to be very frank, I can say they're like, I can put 100 traits saying that these are the things that an entrepreneur should have. There's no right or wrong answer here, but based on what I feel that is correct, these are the few traits that I would personally look at, or someone should inculcate or start practicing if you have to become an entrepreneur, right? First, you have to dream big and be very curious. So, I mean, aim high to achieve high, right? This has always been a motto that I follow. So this comes with a lot of troubles. I think I'll go into a little more detail when you aim high to achieve high, right? So then this flexibility and adaptiveness. So the most important thing, right? I could say, I hear this very often, very unfortunate as well, is that once this happens with my friends as well, wherein like once they cross the 35, 36 age, around 40, I mean, not age as a factor, but like example, someone becomes a manager, they feel like, yeah, I've settled now, I know everything that I should know in my trade, right? But unfortunately, what I strongly believe, and I think all the entrepreneurs that I've heard about or read podcasts, read books about, they say that there's always something to learn, even if you think you know everything. So being flexible, right? Being flexibility comes with a thought or with a mindset that there's always something to learn, and being very adaptive. So if example, a 18-year-old kid or 19-year-old kid comes and says to you, oh, sir, you're doing this, but this is wrong. Can we do it in a better way? You should be able to listen to anyone that comes and give you suggestion and try to adapt to it. I think that is the most important thing here. And I think I'll go a little more into adaptability as a concept itself, because that is super important for any one of us who want to establish a business or have to think like an entrepreneur in your own work, right? And I think I should have put this first, like passion for the work, right? Anything that you do, you should have a complete passion. I personally, I think if you see my career, I started as a banker. And if you guys don't know, bankers in London are paid the highest. So when I was 22, which was like 21, 22, which was like 9 to 10 years ago, my salary was already 7.5 lakh Indian rupees. But I never had a passion for banks. I never liked working with banks, but I just started because they were paying me really well, and it was a campus interview that I got through. But then after 2 years, I realized this is not what I want to do. Stopped everything, started my whole career all over again, started with a 25,000 salary in India, and went to wherever I am now is all because of where I started in 2014 with Smart Loyal. And I think it is all that passion that makes a lot of difference. So example, if you want to start a business, which only because you want to make money, I don't see them thriving. You will survive for sure, right? There's no questions about surviving, but thriving means like, like becoming like a Facebook or an Amazon. You should be passionate, and you should strongly feel what you're doing is what you want to do for the rest of your life. Willingness to take risk. I think, I mean, again, I'm going to say this more often because I shortly said these 7 or 8 traits, right? But you should be, when you're getting into an entrepreneurship, even the most important thing is that you should be able to take risk. If you want to play safe, yes, you can. Again, you will survive, not thrive. That is very important. Ready to fail. So flexibility and adaptability and will actually come together with ready to fail, because once you start adopting, or once you start dreaming big and start adapting to few things, and the expected thing is that you'll fail. Example, I mean, I would say, like, let's take this a restaurant, right? If I'm running a restaurant, and I would say, okay, I started my business saying that I have to make at least 1 lakh rupee a month, right? Now you want to dream big. So now, how do I dream big when I start my restaurant? So you will think that, okay, in next 2 years, I want to start at least 5 outlets of my restaurant. Now, okay, and being curious, okay, now I'm selling biryani. Probably I'll try Italian cuisine, or burgers, or pizzas, or ice creams, right? When you're actually dreaming big, there's a very high chance of you will be failing as well. Just imagine, yeah, you started biryani, along with that you're selling pizza, but people are not buying pizza, so that's a fail, right? So you should be ready for it. When you're getting into entrepreneurship. Problem solving, I think every business that were ever started in the world are solving one problem. It might be a copy of what's happening in the other country, but they are solving one problem. Just imagine a couple of good examples like Swiggy, Zomato. Then let's think about Ola, Uber. So every one of them, if you think about it, there's one problem statement that they solve, and that's how everyone starts their business. And now, solving a problem is important. So that's an idea, right? Solving a problem is an idea, but recognizing the opportunity is very important. So basically, to be very frank here, everyone on the call or everyone around you, everyone will come and say, oh, wow, I have a super idea, man. I think if we start this, we'll make tons of money. And trust me, we'll become a super startup in next 1 year. This is exactly what happens to 90% of the startups which fail. So basically, you think that it's a good idea. You think that you're solving a problem, but you have actually not recognized the opportunity. So you're solving a problem which you think is a problem, but is it what? A problem which others perceive is something that is important. Again, I know I'm going to put a lot of examples of my Swiggy or FOODPANDA because of course of my experience in that, right? So when we've launched FOODPANDA, we launched in Madanpalle as well. If you know Madanpalle, it's probably a 2 or 3 hour journey from Tirupati. But in Madanpalle, we were successful, but we were not making as much as money what we are supposed to, because I felt that we are solving a problem, yes, but I never actually went onto the ground to figure out if that is what people is looking for, right? And I think with all this, right, comes the coming out of the comfort zone. So what happens is, when you're trying something new, generally it's anthropological thing, right? We grew up as a cave dweller. So humans who evolved from Homo sapiens, right? We are cave dwellers. We love to be in our own comfort zone. So because we are the most fragile creatures in the animal kingdom, we don't have claws, we don't have strong teeth, we just have 2 feet to run, bipedal, right? Of course. When it comes to our brain, it grew very fast. So we are actually one of the fastest evolving creatures in the entire, like, probably history of evolution, right? We evolved in 15 to 20 years to whatever we are now. But unfortunately, what happened is our body has not evolved to accommodate our thoughts and brain. So every one of us would love to be in a comfort zone. So example, I set up a restaurant, or I set up a Kirana store, right? I think that's what you see most often. I set up a Kirana store. I earn like 50,000-60,000 rupees a month. I'm comfort. I don't want to take any more risk. But as an entrepreneur, you should come out of that basic comfort zone and start exploring something new. That's where all these D-marts and heritages come from. They all started from one single shop, and look at how big they are now. So, I mean, when you actually divide the traits into different categories, there are 5 things that are important, right? So the personal traits, which are like, what do you think internally, like, ability to take risk, probably be able to identify the opportunities, coming out of the comfort zone. Along with that, it is very important to also have interpersonal behavior, right? So when you're an entrepreneur, coming up with an idea is important, yes, but should be able to communicate that really well to the other people and understand if there's a requirement. Let me give you an example. I started a restaurant, probably again a restaurant. So I started a restaurant in Balaji Colony, and people walking around will see me, right? However, how do I tell people that I set up a restaurant and you have to come and eat? That's where your interpersonal behavior come into picture. You have to sell your restaurant that it is one of the best restaurant compared to other 10 restaurants around you, and they should come and try and eat with you. So you should be able to build an interpersonal skill to actually be able to sell yourself. That is what we call marketing, right? Then there are a few more, right? Achievement cluster, planning cluster, and power cluster. So we can go into details a little later about this, but you have to understand that whatever you're trying to build should be very quantitative. So you should be able to objectively calculate your success. That's number one. Number two is that you should be able to plan really well in advance. So you should be able to think, okay, if I start this, what will happen for next 1 year is what everyone should be able to plan in advance. And also, once you decide that plan is good and you have done your research, you have done your pilot, you should be able to push others also to work on it. So that's what it's also called leadership skill, right? So it should be a good combination of interpersonal traits, personal traits, and also the power and planning clusters. Okay, so I was just giving a minute for you guys to think, right? Out of this all, so many traits, right? I think I can talk about this topic for hours, but of course, we have only another 15 or 20 minutes left. So what I thought was I will only take 2 or 3 aspects of it, which I feel are very important. Again, emphasis on I feel are very important. So, and I'll go a little more into details, right? So one is dream big and be curious, right? So you should always have a sense of curiosity and meeting new opportunities, right? Like example, there's a saying, right? If you keep your eyes open, you will always find something new. So you should be curious and you should have that open mind to see a possibility, right? And you should always be in a process of discovery. So even after to be very frank, after 7 years of working with food delivery businesses and logistic business, I still feel that I have learned only 10 to 20% of my trade or my business. There's always something to discover, always something to do new about it, and always ask questions and aim for stars. So these are three most important mantra that you should go with. Always aim for stars. Don't worry about your failure. Trust me, when you aim for stars, right, you will fail, but at least you're reaching clouds, right? That's what Elon Musk does. So he thought of going to Mars, but as a step 1, he is able to go to space. So that's how you should start. A very, very beautiful example. I'm sure everyone knows about this guy called Henry Ford, who started Ford Motors, right? But if you know about this guy, he was actually from a farming community. His dad is a farmer. When he was 12 years old, his dad actually gave him a watch. And you know what he did? First thing he did was he opened it, and he was so curious, right? How does the watch actually works? He opened it, he checked how the mechanics work, right? And within 3 years, he was so good at opening. So good at watches. He started his watch repair company when he was only 15, right? And then he really loved what he does. He actually was so curious that he joined as a mechanic, because at that time the cars were still very new. So they just if I remember correctly, there's a company who started off with a car which was made of which actually runs on steam. Then again, so he started as a mechanic, but he's always curious, as I was mentioning, right? So he used to open up the broken cars and he used to rebuild again. So that's how he started. Then someone from Edison, Thomas Alva Edison, right? So he had a company called Edison Illuminations. So he joined Edison Illuminations as a car mechanic, car engineer. And in 4 or 5 years of him started working with Edison Illuminations, he developed his own first car, which which solve few of the problems, right? One, the cars before were using steam, and steam is very unstable. It can blow, and they used to commonly like cause a lot of troubles, right? So he built his own car, which actually with the 2-piston, blah, blah, blah. If you want, I can give you some articles to read about how the car was. And he called it quad cycle. And that was the first evolution of what the car is. And then he was like, okay, let me start my own company. And his aim was to build the world's best car company ever, like in the future as well. Like he never wanted it to be beaten. Like he wanted to be best of best. So think about it, right? He was very curious about everything that he had. He had a very big dreams. Let's like fast forward like 10 years from there. He has one of the best car manufacturing company in the world. If you guys don't know, he was the first one to introduce 5-day work with only 40 hours work week. So till then, everyone used to work for 6 hours a day and 48 hours. And you know how was he able to do it? Because he was the first one to introduce production line. So before that, when they were manufacturing cars, so they used to build a car and everyone used, like 10 different people used to go and work on it at the same time. But he introduced a production line, which means that, okay, once someone will build the outer shell, okay, after that it comes a little forward, someone will assemble the tires, it'll go forward, someone will assemble the engine. So everyone who is specialist in what they do one after the other. So that's called a production line, right? He was the first one to introduce in the world a production line. And even now, all the companies, along with the airline manufacturers, still follow it. And if you guys don't know, Henry Ford was also manufacturing flights during the World War I, but he eventually stopped because this is a big industry by itself, right? Okay, I would generally ask, like if you have any questions, but of course, like we'll take all the questions together. And along with that, right, there are 2 more traits which are very important for me, right? So once you are very curious and you want to aim big, that always comes with 2 risks, right? The biggest risk that Ford had at that time was, okay, he came out of Edison elimination, very good job, well earning. He came out, he started off with his own company, right? Of course, when you start a company, the biggest problem that comes is risk. Will my company succeed is a question that we always have, right? So when you want to start something big, it always comes with risk, and we should be able to take risks. That's what the entrepreneur does, right? And along with this comes as readiness to fail. I think in the last few generations, I think the biggest, like the best person I saw in terms of an entrepreneur is Elon Musk, right? This guy is amazing in a couple of aspects. So he actually comes from a very small family. He's from Canada. When he was 12, he actually started developing. He loves development, right? And very early phases, he started PayPal. PayPal, if you guys know, PayPal is a company where you actually internationally pay, transfer money, etc. It's like, it's like Paytm, but it's more a money transfer kind of thing, right? And when he started PayPal with 2 other co-founders, the biggest problem that had was eBay was also trying to compete with him. So they were hell-bound that PayPal, they should shut it down. So because they also had recently bought a company which is equivalent to PayPal. The only thing that he was doing is that, as I said, aim big. So he always aimed big, very adaptive, very quickly changed his business models. In 2 years, he built something that eBay couldn't build in like 4 or 5 years. So they had to adopt to PayPal. Then this guy came out of PayPal, started his own Tesla, I'm sure everyone knows, which is actually an electric car company, fully automated. When he started, trust me, all the car manufacturers laughed at him, like all the General Motors and Ford and all, they actually laughed at him, saying that because the battery technology even now is compatible to only a certain extent, right? Then he built a technology on the top of it, amazing. Then he started his own solar energy company, and you guys know SpaceX, which is actually doing commercial space missions. So basically, if you want to send a satellite, you can take SpaceX. They will send your satellites to space. Starlink, if you guys know, he's putting 12,000 satellites in the space, wherein every person around the world, even in the smallest of the villages or even in Amazon forest, will have internet. Everyone, even Idea, Airtel, Reliance Jio, everyone dreams about this, right? To be able to give internet to everywhere along with forests. And he's the one who actually took the risk, and he's actually doing it, right? And a boring company, actually, they actually bore holes to lay underground rails, right? And hyperloop, and also basically, you guys have to check about boring company. It's very difficult for me to explain. And also hyperloop, if you can travel at the speed of aeroplanes on the ground. So this guy is an amazing combination of 3 or 4, right? So I'm going back in my slides, right? You think about how like there are 3 or 4 things. One, he is always dreaming big, like you know, right? As a part of SpaceX mission, he's actually trying to set up a colony on Mars. So he dreams big, and he's always curious and highly passionate to work. He actually apparently works more than 60 hours a week. Of course, he's willing to take risks, because even after 60 or 70 years experience of NASA, then ISRO and all, he built a company which is like 4 or 5 years old and still can do exactly same thing what ISRO or NASA could not successfully do even now with 70, 80 years experience, right? He's solving a problem for sure. Like, one of the biggest problem is internet everywhere. He's ready to fail. He recognized opportunity, and the biggest thing is, right, he's coming out of his comfort zone. So he's of course, I'm telling you about him because I see that him as ideal. But if you think of Jeff Bezos or Jack Ma, Jeff Bezos, of course, is Amazon. If you know, Amazon also has Amazon Web Services, Amazon Prime. Along with that, they have Boston Robotics. They have also Blue Origin, which is going into space. Same with Alibaba, right? Alibaba, which is Jack Ma, he's invested into a lot of businesses. He has his own like a delivery firm. So all these entrepreneurs has a good combination of few aspects that I put, right? And the biggest thing is that, yeah, you have to take risk. I'm jumping few, right? Okay, so this is towards the end of our discussion about how do we think like an entrepreneur when you start a business, right? A couple of myths, right? That I hear every time, right? Entrepreneurs are born that way. No, to be very frank, no one is born a businessman unless you're already your dad or your granddad has started businesses, right? But if you think about it, your granddad might be the first one who started that business. So even he is not born as a businessman. If you think about it, Mukesh Ambani, people say, yeah, he's a born businessman. If you think about it, his dad was not a businessman before he started his first, like, he's not born a businessman. Greatest example, right? Google, Larry Page, right? He was an introvert guy for a very long time. He doesn't even come on news for a very long time. But he's still an entrepreneur. Colonel Sanders, right? The one who started KFC. He started KFC when he was almost like 50-year-old. Again, he was not born an entrepreneur. He did multiple things along with, railroad worker, etc. So he started his first KFC when he was almost 50-year-old. Of course, he's not born an entrepreneur. Right? Second biggest myth, right? The only requirement is a great idea. Yes, you should have a great idea, but the idea, as I was mentioning, should be the ones which actually has a potential to disrupt the entire market. Even like, you can have the bestest of the idea, but it's about the execution. Let me tell you a beautiful example, right? When I was working with Swiggy, my team was responsible to shut down FOODPANDA in India. I'm not so proud of it, because at the end of the day, I'm working with FOODPANDA now in Malaysia. But we were responsible for them to shut down. Only reason why we were able to shut them down completely is because of the lack of execution. They sold it to Ola as well, but unfortunately they couldn't execute it really well. So idea is important. However, execution of the idea is more important than the idea itself. If you actually think about it, Ola, Oyo, Swiggy, and all are copy of ideas which already existed outside the world, in other countries. They just copied it and they executed it in a very beautiful format. And along with that, a few more traits are important, right? Leadership, planning, strategy, communication. All this together only will help that good idea to execute. So if someone says, wow, man, I have an amazing idea, I know if we start this, we will make tons of money in next 1 year. Please don't believe it. I think the most important part is that how do we execute? You should see how you want to do it in the next 1 year. Okay, and couple of problems that exist, right? Business will either flourish or fail, is what I always hear, right? Business only succeed or you have to shut down. There's no midway about it. But actually, running a business is a lot of patience and a lot of patience, a lot of strategies. Probably a lot of companies which have seen a very slow growth in the beginning have done amazing, like Amazon, right? So in the beginning, when Amazon started, they used to sell books, if you guys know. Then after that, during one of they started off multiple things after that, right? In one of the Christmas Eves, they said, okay, because they expected a huge inflow of orders, they ordered and they stocked like 1 crore toys. And they were able to sell only 50 lakhs. And they had to actually give away 50 lakhs for free because there's no space for them left. So the underlying statement is that, okay, you fail, that is okay. Fail fast and move on. Don't keep bothering yourself about it. And the last thing is that quitter is for losers, right? I mean, this is unfortunately what happened in my personal life as well. If you, when Ragasudha was telling about my experiences, one of the experience was with Smart Loyal. Actually, Smart Loyal is my own startup. And we ran it for 2 years almost. Unfortunately, we couldn't take it off. It's one of the failed examples, right? A lot of things happened that made that startup fail. But what happened is when we were shutting down, or when we planned to shut down, we had this, right? Oh shit, I'm a failure. But whatever I've learned from that is which actually took me to where I am now. So I think, yes, you will fail in what you do. That is okay. You will learn some lessons from it. Only thing example, if you started something, you fail on it, that is okay to fail. Only thing is that you should be learning something from it and walking away from it and coming up with a new idea and starting something new is very, very crucial. And that new idea can be as a business or in your work as well. So this is all about business, starting your business, right? But I think the biggest problem that we face, I think I started off with, is that, okay, entrepreneurs are businessmen, yes, okay, but how can we think like an entrepreneur at work? I think this is the biggest thing that we are looking in millennials. So, and also luckily, most of the millennials that are coming out of the education industry are also coming with this attitude. But I think this is something I want to mention because only 5 to 10% or like maximum 15% are coming with this kind of ideas, right? So let me tell you one quick example. I'm sure, unfortunately, we have only 8 minutes. I'll try to wrap it up as fast as possible. We actually see a lot of short films, right? That people working as a people working as a software engineer, they say, oh, come on, man, like my manager keep bothering me. He keeps telling me that I have to make it better. I have to do it faster than what I could do, and this guy goes, smokes around, like, drinks coffee all the time. He never works, right? So this is a common thing that you'll see in a lot of short films. And also you see this, like your friends telling, or the ones who are working as your brothers, your cousins who are working, they're like, yeah, I mean, I go to office, I finish my work and come. This is what they do, right? If you are if your aim is to be that, right, that's absolutely fine. But if you're actually aiming to become a manager or a CEO of a company, that attitude or that will not actually help you to go toward that level, right? First thing is be very passionate in what you do. I see this very often, right? Even it happened with my batchmates as well. So after finishing colleges, biotechnology, of course, right? We studied biotechnology. After finishing college, immediately everyone went to Bangalore, learned some courses, working as a software engineer. That is good because that is helping you set up your life, right? But is that what your passion is? Maybe, may not be, right? First, if that is not your passion, make it your passion. That's okay. When you're working on something, even if you don't like it, you have to make it a passion. Once you do that, right, you should always be bothered with inefficiencies. Like example, like, one of the, I'll go with an example. I think it's very difficult to explain that without example. Don't complain, but act. Like example, like, I'm very tempted to say some dialogues in Telugu, but I'm trying to avoid it. But, I keep coming and say, oh, my manager keeps bothering me. There's this problem which is there forever. No one is fixing it. And because of this, my work is getting slow. Come on, you are also working in that company, and why can't you take that initiative to actually fix that problem? So that's an attitude of entrepreneur, right? If Amazon would have felt that, okay, no, there's no e-commerce company, and just keep complaining, Jeff Bezos wouldn't have started on Amazon, right? He thought there's a problem. He took the problem on himself. Without complaining, he started working on it. Of course, you should take more risk when obviously when you're trying to do something new, it comes with a lot of risk. And the biggest thing is that don't satisfy mediocrity. So I'm going to office 9 o'clock every day, punch in. I do whatever I'm supposed to do. 5 o'clock, at 1 o'clock, I go to my lunch. 6 o'clock, I'm coming back home, having a coffee, watching TV and sleeping. This is good, right? That's how your life has to be. But that is what I see this as a mediocrity. You should not work for 9 to 5, or you should not feel that, okay, 9 to 5 is my job. You should have a passion in what you do. If it means that I work 24/7, it's okay till the time I'm solving something. Okay, one probably biggest example, right? I mean, Sundaram Pichai, I think everyone knows he's a CEO, Google CEO. He became CEO in 2015. So he started off as a lead product manager, and he is the one who's behind the innovations of softwares like Google Chrome OS. Then he took over Google Drive. He's one of the biggest contributor towards Google Drive. Then he has overseen Gmail, Google Maps, etc. And then he added Android into his portfolio, Chromebook into portfolio, and in 2015 he became a CEO. If in 2004, I mean, even in 2004, when if Sundaram Pichai would have thought, okay, they've given me some job, let me work on it and just finish and get it over with, he would have never become a CEO. And I'm sure there are another 1,000 to 1,500 developers like Sundaram Pichai who are working with Google at that time, but only one could become CEO, only because the rest 1,000, 1,500 people just did what they're supposed to do. But Sundaram Pichai went beyond what he's supposed to do and then got to where he is now, right? I mean, couple of myths, right? Whoever is frustrated with jobs, they'll feel that, okay, let me start a startup, and I think I can be my own boss. That is wrong. No entrepreneur I know works less than 50 to 60 hours a week. So if you're actually getting into entrepreneurship, you might end up working more than your own, working in a company. So you should have a complete passion into what to do. What you do, only then you get into entrepreneurship, right? That's number one. Number two, the biggest myth, right? Only money motivates employees. No, this is 100% wrong. I mean, I'm a personal example, right? If money would have motivated me, I would have stayed back in the bank. Trust me, I would have done more money than what I'm earning even now. 70 lakhs. When I started as my first job when I was 22, 23, 70 lakh was my package, right? 70,000 pounds was my package. And now it would have crossed 150,000, 200,000. That means like I would have earned like 15, 20 lakhs a month. But I left that job to start my own business, then failed in it, then started everything from 25,000, only because the passion is what that drives most of us actually. And whatever can make you sleep makes you more happy compared to the money itself. So a lot of people, what the research or recent statistics shows that the millennials, that generation, my generation and the millennials, right, like your generation is all coming with an attitude of where the culture is more important, job satisfaction than salary. And in the next couple of minutes, right, all said and good, Kiran, like I think you told me thousands of things about how do we think as an entrepreneur at work, how do you think entrepreneur as a businessman, but where should I start? Okay, it is very simple. Yeah, this I did as well. I'm sure a couple of you like Sneha, like, Ragasudha, you guys are already doing, is that start now, because there are few skills that have to be taught even before you get into your first job, right? This just example, right? Starting a small club, like a chess club, an entrepreneur club, or even a movie club, right? What you're trying to do is that you are trying to project manage and also stakeholder management. Trust me, when people say, what does my manager do? He just sits all day, drinks coffee, go for a smoke break, right? That is not really true. There's a lot of work that goes into managing people. There's a stakeholder management. You have to talk to different departments, make sure everyone loves the idea that you do, convince everyone to believe in the idea that you're doing. A lot of things goes into stakeholder management, project management, and starting your own club actually helps you out to start thinking of like a project manager, stakeholder manager. Second is like, try to be a part of the cultural events, right? That you have like in the organization team. What you learn there, again, is a project management. And also some of you will take up the budget management as well, right? You get some budget, you have to find a restaurant who can serve, a cafeteria who can serve cheap food, etc. So all this are also will help you think like an entrepreneur. And the last thing, the most important thing is communication skills and presenting skills, right? You can start off with as small as going to seminars, giving debates. And I think in during my college time, at least, I had a small group, like of 4 or 5 people, and also Sir knows this as well. We used to go to every seminar and debate that is there. Winning, losing was never a point. We used to go everywhere. Few win, few we lost. We won a lot. We lost a few, but yeah, we just used to go for everything. Yeah, this is all about entrepreneurship and how do you think like entrepreneur. Sir, do we have 1 more minute? I want to just give one quick example.
You can take as much time as possible. There is absolutely no time limit, Sai Kiran. You can just go on. We are very happy. Yeah. Please carry on. Please carry on.
Sure. I think one of the, only because I know Ravikanth sir very well, I'm telling you this example, right? I don't think even sir would have realized it till the time I spoke to him a couple of days ago, right? Sir is also thinking like an entrepreneur. I'll give you an example why, right? So if you guys know, sorry, sir, if it's inappropriate, you should excuse me. So I know sir as sir has done PhD in zoology, right? When I was in second year, sir joined as a zoology professor. I think after my batch, in 1 or 2 years down, I think zoology, my department was completely deprecated. There's no biotechnology zoology, right? A lot of people generally at that time, I see it very common, is that when something is getting over, they'll say, oh my God, what should I do next? Like, where should I start applying? Where should I move to? Because there's not many colleges across in Tirupati who actually has zoology as a course, right? So now there are 3-4 things that sir has done, right? First, being passionate about his work, right? So started off with teaching is a passion. So he kept that passion. Second, took a risk of learning English. And that is like being curious, right? So took an interest, learned, he was very curious about learning a language and also doing a course. Then he did that. Then he thought for next 2 or 3 years, like, okay, how will my evolution be? Like if example, zoology stops, what my next? Then if you think about it, even after the zoology team was deprecated, sir is still with the college, right? The reason being is that he was able to assess the risk, mitigate the risk, start planning, had a plan B in place. So this is a live example. I think this is what thinking like an entrepreneur is. You don't have to go out there, start a new business to think like an entrepreneur. In your day-to-day, just you should be able to imagine what the next 2-3 years should be. What is my plan for it? Plan it well. If you're failing, it's okay to fail, right? You fail, have a plan B, like and start all over again, right? That's what it's all about. Like again, that's end of my entire thing, right? So sir, again coming back to sir, right? Sir is just not surviving. Because of that, he's actually thriving, right? Otherwise, like sir would have been going around different colleges trying to figure out where to find the job next. Sorry, sir, if that is
you
enough.
have very rightly said.
Sai Kiran, we absolutely agree with you. So here I am with 2 double masters and double PhD as well. So we are ready for anything.
Yeah,
So,
I'm unfortunately, ma'am, I don't know. I couldn't get time to get to know you well, so that's why I
yeah,
had to take
yeah,
sir as an example. But yeah, I
yeah.
mean,
No, no, that's what we agree with you completely, and we are ready for new jobs.
you know, the biggest
And
problem.
new kind of exploration that we can do. That's really good. So that was my spirit way back, like maybe 20 years back, when we were devising or thinking or drafting the nation education policy, which has come right now after 20 years.
Yeah.
So my way of thought process, where I wanted to do double masters and double PhD, started way back in 2000.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
I was able to achieve it after 20 years, but that's good. That's really good.
So two, three things, right, ma'am? I think the biggest problem that we face, or what we see in my, I think I kept mentioning, right? People come to me after 1 year saying that, okay, I have worked for 1 year. Can I get promoted, right? So always what I tell my team, right? There's two things that we look at: performance and capability. So if you're performing well, it means that you are good at what you do. It doesn't mean that you're ready to take up the next role. So if you're ready to take up the next role, you should start working from the day one. So example, as simple as this sounds, right? I mean, to, example, my aim is that in next 1 year I have to become a manager. So I have to start and talking to me. Like example, I will talk to my manager. So my next progression would be either head of APAC or a director, one of the board of directors, right? In my next career. So what I do always is that I keep talking to my director, who's my reporting manager, asking, okay, what is requirement for this, right? And start building it from the beginning, right? I mean, to be very frank, right? I mean, and in my career also, when I started my startup, I failed miserably. I don't think there's two ways of putting it. My startup was a big failure. And then immediately I had a very bad attitude of saying that, okay, I know everything. Then I joined this company in Goa called Mobifit. So I was heading their digital marketing for 1 year, failed miserably even in that. So then that is a moment of realization for me that, it's not that there's nothing that you've there's uh there's never ending learning, right? And I think that's where my whole growth started. I started as a sales manager. In 4 years of my career with Swiggy, I took 4 promotions, and my salary went from what do you say, almost grew by 250%. And then when I joined FOODPANDA, I took 1 promotion here. Again, my salary is like decent, right? So what happens is, I mean, salary always follows, right? I never till now, even I'll tell you, even now, I never work for my salary. I really am passionate in what I do. That's why I started up new teams, new territories, and all. That's where the whole point is. I know I'm not a biggest example because I don't still feel that I'm the most successful person. That's why I give you all Elon Musk and all. But yeah, I mean, some learnings from me as well.
So each one of us, we set up examples, right? So that's what we talk about, the growth mindset. So we need not stop anywhere. Yeah, because when you were talking about the CEO, I rightly agreed with that, because that's a kind of a feeling when you become, kind of a leader who would like to transform the lives of the people, as you are doing with the new territories or with your team.
Yes.
Already it is done. We need not be the CEO of a company. Like, we are part of it. And we agree with you completely when we say we are all entrepreneurs. Yeah. Part of the, and any employee who is working with any team, they're all part of the entrepreneurship, right? One person has started it and we are all part of it. But when we start having that feeling, the insecurities never come. We start upgrading ourselves to the situation. So I think that's what the spirit that we wanted to share with all the students, and this knowledge sharing experience is exactly for that. And we are very, very happy that Sai Kiran was able to actually motivate the children very rightly today to take up excellent entrepreneurship abilities that they have to go forward and explore this world.
Probably, ma'am. I think one thing I would probably tell the team as well, right here, everyone here, right, listening on Zoom and also on YouTube. If someone feels that, okay, I have an amazing idea, I think this is a game changer, they can just probably set up a quick time with me, have a chat, right? I this is the least I could do from the college who taught me whatever I am now, right? They can just come talk to me briefly. If I feel that, I mean, probably I'll give my honest opinion generally. Until now, luckily, except 1 or 2 cases, most of the I go consulting as well. So companies calls me over for business growth consulting and all. And then luckily, I mean, whatever I've been doing worked really well so far. So they can come and chat with me. I can probably give them a quick suggestion what to do. As I said, right, it's not the idea. They can come with the idea which already exists. It's about how you want to execute it. So I will just can help them with execution plans and help them build their plans and all. Yeah, of course I can. Don't have to be a consultant, right? I can just be another friend who has experience help you out. You know?
Sai Kiran, I'm very happy with the positivity that you have set in, because when you took example of Dr. Ravikanth sir, so I think that's really great, because you are talking the best positive side of a faculty who was able to change, like, dramatically the situation which was there in front of him, which might be very confusing also. But yeah, like when children like you actually assert this, right? I think it's a wonderful, compliment that we take as a compliment. Sir, I think it has set your spirits very high. So all thanks to Sai Kiran.
It will take some time for me to get that news synced, madam.
Yeah. When I was telling, sir was not accepting that. I think it's the right platform, like you think where all the students support you, sir. So that's
yeah, sure. Yes, madam.
That was really good. So, like you can take it to cycle, that's it. Like, you want to interact with the students. The children who are there in the Zoom, like I think you can interact with sir. Like you want to ask few questions. Ragasudha, Sneha, I think you're all there.
Yes, madam. They have already prepared the questions, and Sneha, you can unmute and talk, Nana.
Can you give me just 1 minute? I'll just grab a glass of water.
Yeah, sure.
Sir, you can ask all the students to interact, and those who are there on the evening also, we can take the questions from them.
Yes, madam.
Go ahead.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your valuable knowledge and giving us the valuable information about entrepreneur. And I feel that it is very helpful to all the people who had attended the webinar. Now I request Ms. Ragasudha to start the question and answer session. Over to you, Ms. Ragasudha.
Thank you, Sneha. Yeah. Thank you, sir. The session was very insightful. There was no point to name it. It felt like a boring lecture. It was very insightful. And we all thank you very much for that. And Yogashree asked the first question here. How to determine our passion?
Okay, very, very interesting question, right? Okay, I think this is what I spend the most time on, right? I mean, unfortunately for me, it took almost 6 years to figure out what my passion is. Okay. Let me tell you my experience. Probably you guys can learn something from there. So when I first started, right, again, as I said, when I first started my career, I was a banker, so I never liked it. So I used to walk to my office every day, but I used to literally pull myself there. What happened over a period was like, I was like, okay, it's enough, because I was not able to sleep well. So then I got into entrepreneurship, and I thought marketing is good for me. I started working on marketing, and I was doing some operations for my own startup. Then I worked another startup for marketing. Even after that, again, it was never satisfying for me. So then the last thing was like, my friend was like, okay, Sai, you look like you're good at speaking. Why don't you take up sales? Because I think whenever someone talks to you, they feel that to buy whatever you sell, right? So then I took up sales. I think that changed my career. Like this was in 2016 when I took up. So it took 6 years for me, right? Now a step back. How do I determine the passion? So you guys have been doing few things every day. So just go back, step back and say, okay, what really interests me the most? Is it the numbers, or is it the marketing side of it, or talking to people, or traveling to different places, or like photography or anything, right? As a matter of fact, there's literally job and business in everything. So it is, I mean, to be very frank, I don't think I'm very qualified to answer how do you determine or what is your passion, but I think it is just probably it's on what makes you sleep in the night is what I feel is a passion. or if you're working on something and you don't feel tired about it, then that's your passion as well, right? I don't know. Again, yeah.
Sir, this question is from my side.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we are in the verge of climate change.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, according to the statistics,
Mm-hmm.
sorry, sir. According to the statistics, out of 100 most popular companies, 90% of the companies are for the carbon emissions.
Correct.
So, how do you manage sustainability with growth, or for what will you give the more priority, for sustainability or for increasing the numbers?
Okay, see, sustainability of environment is very different from sustainability of the business, right? So your question is sustainability of the environment or sustainability of the business?
Sir, I think sustainability of business is somewhere interlinked with the environment.
Okay, okay, let me divide this into 2 or 3 conversations, right? So it's number 1, right? The climate change, yes, everyone is talking about it. I think quite a few are working on this as well. See, so that is one bit, right? I think second, sustainability and growth are the 2 aspects of business. I think it's a very major problem that I face in everyday life, right? So because my experience, again, like I handle P&L as well. P&L is the profit and loss of the company. So the biggest challenge that always comes is that how do I make my company sustainable along with earning money and make some profits as well, right? If I have to choose sustainability or profitability, I would say both. And how do I do it is from the beginning or from the day one, realizing how your business can be in the next 1 year, 2 years, 10 years, right? And start planning all your, probably it is more technical, but yeah, probably planning all your profits and losses from the day one. Like how much revenue are you generating and how much you have to spend for it, right? And in the beginning, in the 5 or 10 years of your, so startup is a very interesting industry, right? A lot of companies get like funding and quite a few don't get as well. So now it completely depends on what side you're aiming towards. If you want to start a business which is self-sustaining from the day one, then growth can be stumped, right? And not always that growth always comes with the expense of marketing. It comes with the expense of new people, right? So in the beginning, you have to, when you're building a plan, you should have your clear agenda. Is it sustainability or growth? In the current environment, growth is very important. Like to grow to a certain level before which you can go to IPO, raise more funds, and bigger scale, more money at that time, right? So sustainability in terms of, if you ask me sustainability or growth, it should be a good combination of both. Otherwise, you cannot survive as a business. If you choose only sustainability, you'll be making small money. So you will be that small forever. If you'll just look at growth, you'll not be making enough money. Your investors would not be happy about it. And it's a double dip, right? So you should be a good combination of both. In terms of sustainability of environment, right? So there are every company or every business contribute in a different way towards the climate. And unfortunately, I'm not very expert in that to tell you, go more into details of the environmental sustainability. But what I could say in terms of what companies started doing, I think as an example, Swiggy started using, I think just recently, right, 2 days ago, they tied up with Reliance electric bikes to have more electrical vehicles outside. FOODPANDA, now we started off saying that by 2030, most of our packaging material from restaurants should be biodegradable or reusable, right? So every company has their own agenda. Like if Apple has a 2030, like all their phones should be 100% environmental friendly. So every company has their own way of doing it. See, the point is that why I don't want to comment more on the environmental is because if you think about it, electricity generation also comes with carbon emissions. So if I say, okay, are electric bikes really environmental friendly? Yes, if you compare between fossil fuels and electrical, yeah, it is, of course, it's better. But do you know how much electricity actually come from hydroelectric or wind but it's still, most of the electricity still comes from thermal, which is from burning fossil fuels, right? Either coal or diesel or petrol. So again, that's why, right, I'm not qualified to comment on it, but if you ask, like, I don't, it's all perspective, right? It's better of both evils. That's what I'd say.
Thank you, sir. And Sree Harinawar, do entrepreneurs invest or discover? Invent or discover?
Okay, it's a good combination of both, actually. So if you think about it, if you know Apple was the first one to introduce iPod. I'm sure I don't know if you guys have seen iPod before, but so before iPod, right, there was this Sony used to have Walkman, and when Apple has said that, we are inventing, one second, we are inventing something like an iPod which has like thousands of songs without using a cassette or a CD. Actually, Sony has trolled them for ages. So now, if you think about it now, that was the first moment where Sony's Walkman started going into going down, right? They stopped selling after that. So entrepreneurs are a good combination of inventors and also discoverers. So inventions, like majority of the inventions, like, if you think about it, Thomas Alva Edison, we call one of the biggest inventor in the history, is actually a businessman as well. He has his own company in Boston called Edison Illumination Factory or something like that. So yeah, I mean, it's a good combination of both. Again, I know I'm trying to give you very, like, what do you say? In between the line kind of answers, but yeah, so they are innovators in entrepreneurs as well, and they're discoverers as well. So it's a combination.
Yes, sir. And the next question is, what piece of advice would you like to give for the future entrepreneurs?
Okay, I think I've put all of that in my presentation. An advice to a future entrepreneur, right? First, so you have to build yourself as an entrepreneur first. I mean, entrepreneur, or I think in the entire presentation I was mentioning, right? Entrepreneurship is actually not a trait that you're born with. Entrepreneurship is something that you learn over a period with a discipline, with a lot of discipline, risk taking, being curious as a combination, right? So there is no right or wrong time to start a change what you want to do. I think a couple of things I heard when I was a student as well, right? I'm sure like everyone would hear, like generally, I mean, no offense to anyone here, but I mean, studious people or the people who sit in the front benches are considered to be studious, and they'll end up being in the jobs, and the people who are like street smart end up being a good entrepreneurs. That's absolutely a bad, it's a myth. It's not a good example, because if you think about it, and a lot of people give me the same example, unfortunately, is, oh, Mark Zuckerberg has dropped out of college and see where he's now. He dropped out of college, but he dropped out of Harvard. To get into Harvard, you should be like probably, every year Harvard gets like around 9,000 applications. Even to qualify to apply for Harvard, you should be like one in millions. Like I think 10 to 15 crore people don't even fall into that criteria, right? And people keep coming and say, oh, what, like, smart people don't have to study, they have to drop out and all. I think these are all myths. So let's keep a couple of things very straight, right? Starting early it can really help, because you'll have enough time to fail. Let's start early. Then start building the traits right from the beginning. Keep learning from whatever you fail. You should fail. I mean, if you don't fail that day, it means that you're doing something wrong. You should fail, but fail fast, adopt, start something new again. So it should be a good combination, like, of always learning and forget about what everyone says, right? As I was mentioning, one of the examples is Ford. Before Ford, people used to work 6 6 days a week, 48 hours. And they used to get $5 per day as a salary. When Ford started his business, he said, okay, I will change this. I want only people to work 5 hours a day, and I'll pay double the salary, right? Everyone laughed at him. And everyone said, you'll fail. He never, and that's what they used to read in business books before, saying that, okay, you have to make them work for so many hours, do such thing, right? He challenged the status quo, and look where Ford is now. So yeah, I mean, your education tells you something, but it doesn't stop you from challenging yourself, right? Keep challenging yourself, ready to fail, keep learning, and never stop learning. I think I'll tell this like 1,000 times, never stop learning. I think if you even ask Ashalatha ma'am or Ravikanth sir, if you're finished learning, they would say no. Yeah. That's yes.
Any more questions, Sneha? Ragasudha?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, a small question from my side. Sir,
Please,
is it really needed to do some courses or some type of graduations on entrepreneur to become an entrepreneur?
see again, so having a formal degree is important because it'll help you. It's always it's a backup, right? Having a formal degree is always a backup for you. But if you ask me, is it a mandatory? No. I think I can name like at least 4 or 5 entrepreneurs who doesn't have any formal education who was able to do it, right? It is it is just your passion towards what you do, then figuring out how to do it and how you execute it. I think this is enough. Yes, I mean, having a formal degree is pretty important. You understand, right? I think most of the entrepreneurs which were from before, like all this Ford or Thomas Alva Edison, they've come from an industry or come from a time where the competition was very low, the population was very low. But if you think about it now, you're competing with yourself, with your colleagues in your college. You're competing with other colleges from across, like when you come to the job market, unfortunately. So having a backup is always good. So a formal degree will help you have that backup. But to have a business for yourself, not required. And to be very frank, even when I'm hiring, I don't look at any formal degree. I think I was having this discussion with a couple of people before as well. How that your degree helps is to land into your first job, and after your first job, no one looks at my degree. And I think, as a matter of fact, my manager doesn't know what degree I had. So it helps you in your first job, and your career shoots off based on what you do in your first job if you're trying to work. But if you're trying to start your business, it'll help you. Like if, example, you failed a couple of startups and now you have to go back because you cannot do this all the time, that degree will really help.
Thank you so much.
Talking about Sai Kiran, it was like one of the participants was asking what role a family plays when a student, especially when they are in their teens or early 20s, when they want to become an entrepreneurs, because that is quite an important area, like where the family has to back them up.
Absolutely, ma'am. I think this is the biggest question that everyone has. And I think one of the classic examples is Ritesh Agarwal, who started OYO Rooms, right? His family was completely against it. He apparently dropped out of college. And he used to say that he used to go to college, but he ended up like sitting on like in one of his friend's house and started developing OYO. But there's only one example like that. And if you see that as an example and you want to drop off, and want to do it, may not be a right thing. But to be very frank, families, right? I think Indian families, unfortunately, we still go with our basics, saying that, okay, get a good job, have a standard salary coming and a standard package coming, right? So it's the same problem with me as well. So I had to prove myself to my family that I am ready to do that, before which I went ahead. So now it's two ways, right? I rebel completely like OYO Rooms and start building something, or I actually follow a family, probably take a little longer to settle down or start my own business, but you can do it, right? And the third thing is I convince them that, 1 or 2 years, I will try this out. If it fails, I'll do whatever you want me to do. So there are 3 ways about going about it. And if you ask me, patience in your family is important. So convincing your parents is more important than anything, because trust me, ma'am, I think my startup, I don't even want to start thinking, because there were days that I didn't have money in my pocket. So I earned really well, saved all the money, then started putting in my startup, spent all the money. There were days where I didn't have my lunch as well. And my mom used to always shout at me saying that, why are you doing this? You should go back for a job. So I was never used to go back home for a couple of days, stay back at friends, and I struggled a lot. But later, after 6 or 7 months, my mom understood my passion, and then she started supporting. I think it is very important to convince your parents in the beginning, so at least you don't have to go through the struggles I went through. And there's one friend of mine, actually, again, a good entrepreneur now, he's making decent money as well. This guy used to, that 5 rupees, like municipal in Hyderabad serves 5 rupees meals. He actually used to eat that 5 rupees meals. So I personally have seen people struggling, going against the family. It is, I think later he convinced, and whatever he is now is because of his family support. It is, I think the underlying statement is that, yes, it is heavily important, especially in the Southeast Asian culture where we are very family oriented. Yes, it's heavily important.
Thank you. Because that is how sometimes students get stuck, whether to go for their passion or maybe take up a job. So this might be a kind of a game changer, because they need to come out of it.
What I thought probably want to pitch to sir later was that, okay, why can't we have an entrepreneur cell in the company, in the college itself, right? It doesn't have to require.
We do have.
Oh, you already have an entrepreneur. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Amazing. Like, yeah, if a student has an idea, they can spend some time in that cell even before they talk to their parents. And also, as I said, right, ma'am, I think the important part is not the idea. So everyone, I'm sorry for using Telugu here, but like, array nak super idea ochindra, idi vaadnam ante chudu, next 5 yearlallo manam itla Ambanilu aipotam. This is very common dialogue here. Unfortunately, not every every idea that you get is actually an idea which can make business. So what happens is, now where you fail with the parents is you are not able to sell him your own idea to your parents. How can you sell it to your people outside that, it's a good idea? I
would like to share here, Sai Kiran, because you can be a kind of a pioneer for this also. Because, we are very, very thankful and very grateful to our management, Chairman sir, as well as Vishnu sir, because now the college is investing in the students if they have a right idea. So they are investing money, and this year we had quite a few number of students who started off with the startups inside the college campus. And we have got a huge innovation center coming up in Sree Vidyanikethan campus. And that's going to be fantastic with people like you. You should come and visit us when you come to the place, your native place, to Tirupati.
Yeah, 100%, ma'am. I think not just me. I think I have a couple of very keen entrepreneurs who can actually work. So problem is, even when mentoring is very important for a lot of people. Very true. I think I know a couple of people as well who can help us or mentor people, help them find. I think seed funding is important. Funding has multiple levels. Yeah, it is important. Like ideation, funding is important. But how do we get that next money? How do we make a strategy which actually works? Again, unfortunately, more than 90% of the startups fail within less than 2 years of them starting, because, as I said, right, it is an idea in your head which it is good. It doesn't mean that you can sell it, or they fail selling it. So they need experts in sales, not in sales and marketing, who can actually sell the idea to people. Yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. I would love to visit that once. I didn't know, unfortunately. I should have interacted with sir more often.
It's a prospective future for the students now. They can become entrepreneurs on campus. So that's a opportunity that we have right now in Vidyanikethan.
Absolutely, that sounds amazing, ma'am. Even one success story, even one Facebook or one email, I think it's just not one person getting a job, right? It's about hundreds of people getting jobs. It's you're building yourself, but more than that, you're building a community. helping a community. I think
All the colleges inside the campus, they are working along with the students. Like even some of the faculty, they are part of it. They are starting up along with the students, setting up the entrepreneurship kind of settlements inside the campus. So I think in a few years we're going to do a wonderful job. Like we have a lot of interesting avenues coming up for the students. So definitely we are going to be with all of you. Take inputs and mentoring from all of you.
Absolutely, ma'am. It sounds really amazing, actually. I mean, I'm not saying I'm surprised, but I'm very happy that my college is doing all this. I want to see a Gmail or a Facebook or Amazon coming out of my college.
It's very true.
Sure.
Any more questions, sir?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ragasudha, are there any more questions?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Sir, for like an young entrepreneurs, how do they build their even that is very important for an entrepreneurs or for any startup. So how do they build a good customer base?
Wow. I mean, to be very frank, that's a silver bullet that even we are searching for. Okay, I'll give you some technicalities, right? So first is, so whenever you start something, right, there are 2 or 3 aspects that you should look at, or any entrepreneur should look at. One, how good is my idea, right? Second, how my idea, what problem is it solving, and is there anything that my idea is helping out with, right? So then if I have a good amount of funds, etc. And even before you start a startup, you have to understand what is the addressable market size. So what it means that how many customers are actually looking for it. Example, I start, let me give you one example, right? You guys know Louis Vuitton, right? Louis Vuitton is a premium clothing and wallet brand, which is started by Bernard Allnut, right? So when he started off, the thought flow is that, okay, everyone buys women purses, like mass of like a big chunk of it, but I want to go into a segment where it is only for the elite of the elite, right? So if you know, the Louis Vuitton bags cost somewhere ranging from 30 to 40,000, can go up to some 8 lakhs, 10 lakhs as well. So it is for you to understand what is the addressable size, market size. It depends on what industry you're getting into, or what is the idea you have. Now, if your idea is to become like an Amazon or a Flipkart or Facebook, then you have to start building your base along with it. And I think, how do you attract customers is like, first, your app, like your idea should be amazing. It should be solving a problem that they really is a problem that need to be solved. And it is generally like either competitive in pricing, or you should be the first one doing it. And if you say, how do I attract customers? Of course, there's marketing, there's sales that comes into picture, etc. But this is a question that changes widely based on what kind of product you're getting into the market. Because, as I said, right, my customer base, if I'm starting something like Louis Vuitton, can be only like 1% of the people who can, 1% of the rich people who can afford it, right? But if I'm starting like a brand like Caprice or like Fast Track, my addressable customer market is much broader. Like if, example, 28% of the population is youth, right? And Fast Track market is 28% addressable market size. So to answer your question straightforward, how to attract customer, it completely depends on what industry you get into. But if you're thinking that, okay, what is the tools to do it? Of course, marketing is. It can be digital, it can be out of home media, it can be above the line marketing, which is like newspapers, etc. And again, I think, Ragasudha, I think one of the interesting thing is that there are few businesses which are business to business. Like, example, I am a milk manufacturer or a milk producer who sells milk only to bigger dairy farms, right? So my customer is actually a dairy farm. You know what I mean? Now, to attract that dairy farm is not the same as attracting 10,000 customers who buy milk from me directly. So these are two different ways of finding a customer. So again, it's a broad question. Probably if you have next question to it, like what is a market, I can help you out giving you more details.
Sure, sir. So you are saying that content is the king and strategy is like a minister.
Sorry, content is the theme and
Strategy for the business developing is like the minister.
Okay, actually, not really. As I said, right, it depends again on what you're trying to do, right? I think when you start anything, right, I think supply and demand is what you have to look at rather than what content I'm putting. Content. So, okay, in anything that you do, there's an input and an output, right? Input can be hundreds of things. Output is at the end of the day, what am I looking for? Let me take an example again, right? If you just example is probably a kirana store next to your house, right? What is an output for them? Output is selling products. But what is input is that having the right product there. So now if you ask me content, how will the content really help this kirana store? Is a business as well, right? At the end of the day, he's an entrepreneur, is a business. How will content help him? He will not, right? But the strategy will help him. So there's, again, if you think about the other way, now I'm an Instagram or a Likey or a TikTok. For me, content is the business. So I have to spend more time on content generation rather than the strategy itself of what content I should put out or who is putting the content out. So it completely depends on what industry you're looking at.
Yes, sir, I agree totally. My last question is, in this busy world, everyone are running to achieve something higher things in life. Sometimes stress comes and interest to that. You being a great responsibility, how do you handle the stress?
Oh, a very good question. I think I meant to be, I think pretty much every day I get this question, right? So, okay. So there are a few things that I do for myself. Number one, I plan my day really well. So if there are 10 things that I have to do, I write all the things down and I prioritize what is like two or three things that you have to learn to become a good manager or a good leader. One is delegation. Second is prioritization and time management. And actually, it is irritating me a little because we are 8 minutes beyond, because for me, time is very important, right? I think. Okay, first thing, right? I put everything down what I have to do today. I prioritize. So if you actually see, not everything that get onto your plate is very important for you, or it can be, some can be done today, some can be done tomorrow, or some can be ignored completely as well. You should be able to identify what is important and prioritize what should be addressed first. Okay, so once you plan your prioritization, then once you know what you have to do every day, it is very simple and easy after that. There are a few things that you can delegate, right? So very important thing as a leader is that you should be able to build your team to become like you so that you can actually take up a bigger position as well. So start delegating few of the tasks to them. Number two. Number three, and the most important thing I tell my team, once you prioritize, once you finish all your timelines, you finish on your timelines, every day after a certain point, you should shut your laptop down and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. After this, I'm not going to do anything. See, for me, I have passion about a couple of things. I'm really passionate about movies. I watch like tons of movies, and I at least watch one movie every day. And I think people are surprised when I do that. Second, I like American football. So I love to watch American football. Very different from an Indian who watch crickets, right? So, and I spend some time working out as well, at least like 15-20 minutes, either go for a walk or do some workout at home. All this will start by shutting your laptop down. So you should be able to figure out what is important for you and where should I put a full stop and then start something else. And I think a couple of you would agree as well, like doing something that you really love beyond work will actually reduce your stress. That's what I practice. And to be very frank, I maximize my, I sleep for 7 to 8 hours a day maximum. And I try to maximize the rest of my time I'm awake. And even I think even between the work, right? Unfortunately, during pandemic and Me handling more like 200 plus people, it comes with a lot of calls every day, different departments asking me different stuff and all. Between calls as well, I spend 10 minutes just to relax, have a glass of water or watch something comical for like 5-10 minutes. So I'm ready for the next meeting. So yeah, these are a few things that I practice. Not necessarily these are the ones which will help. This is helping me.
Yes, sir. Thank you. That's it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ragasudha. Thank you very much, sir, for explaining doubts very clearly and patiently. Now I request the Head Department of Commerce, Dr. SV Ravikanth, sir, to say the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Sneha. On behalf of the organizing committee, I bless and thank Mr. Sai Kiran. It is always a joy for a teacher to see a student highly successful in his career. As a teacher, I consider myself blessed when I come across such students. During the past 3.5 decades, I came across very few students of the potential of Mr. Sai Kiran. Thrive, but not just survive. Well, my own example, thanks a lot. When I initially joined Vidyanikethan, I was pretty happy with 1.5 decades of experience in zoology, having taught zoology to all the students. Within a short span of a time, it was a nosedive, and I knew that I would lose my ground in Vidyanikethan. So I was compelled to go for a second postgraduate degree because I never wanted to lose ground in Vidyanikethan. Our principal madam just said he changed dramatically. Madam, not just dramatically but also grammatically, because when you become an English teacher you have to be very apt with your grammar also. So thank you, madam. Well, I intentionally took up proposing vote of thanks. Normally it is done by student because I thought I would uh, prepare a nice script and deliver the vote of thanks. Your talk was so mesmerizing, Sai Kiran. I was completely glued to your voice. I could not script vote of thanks. So whatever I am going to talk would be just an extempo. It was a thoroughly professional display. And now many students would understand why you escalated to such a position, such a high position within a short span of time. You brought all your experience into play in delivering the lecture. Despite your breathtaking busy schedule, you have taken complete 2 days leave to thoroughly prepare for this webinar, which was obviously not required for a person of your potential. You discussed the topic you chose excellently well today. Dear students, this is how you define commitment. This is how you define passion. I am sure students, faculty, and participants have received a free consultation from an expert. Dr. Muralidhar Panchagnala, a healthcare and marketing consultant and a well-wisher of Sree Vidyanikethan, showered a lot of accolades on you. In his words, articulation is fantastic and small anecdotes in between, which is an important trait of an effective presenter. Good to see this 32-year young person delivering a highly matured deliberation. But it is up to the horses to be thirstier to drink water. You have taken them to a pond by name Sai Kiran. A very crucial and critical point that he raised is one needs to be mentally preconditioned to accept a failure to become a successful entrepreneur. These are the words of Dr. Muralidhar. He is an honorary doctorate. He is from Hyderabad. He is a marketing and healthcare consultant and a well-wisher of our organization. I am sure all the participants have taken note of all the points that you have discussed and gained sufficient knowledge. I would like to thank the alumni of Sree Vidyanikethan for joining from India and abroad. My sincere thanks to our beloved and dynamic principal, Sai Kiran, whether it is a biotechnology webinar, whether it is related to commerce, madam is a mobile encyclopedia. You just appreciated her knowledge in entrepreneurship. Tomorrow, when we organize a biotechnology webinar, people from biotechnology background think that she is from biotechnology. So such is her knowledge. Keeps always updating her knowledge, sharing her knowledge as well.
That's
and always
good.
creates
Only learning and sharing.
Learning
So,
and sharing.
yeah, today I'm student of Sai Kiran.
Sai Kiran, yeah, we are all, madam. I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to all the participants without whom this event would not have been unfolded. Ms. Sneha was given an opportunity to anchor today's program. It was decided in the last minute. Due to some technical snag, other students could not do this anchoring part. She did extremely well. Thank you, Sneha. And similarly, Ms. Ragasudha, as appreciated by our resource person, gave an excellent introduction of the resource person. I had goosebumps when I was listening to that. So I had a fantastic time with Sai Kiran when he was there in UG. I was fortunate enough to teach zoology for him for a couple of years. He's looking as handsome as he was when he was in Vidyanikethan, and a person who has a lot of passion, who has a lot of success, and who is extremely humble and down to earth will always look as handsome as Mr. Sai Kiran is. I thank our management for supporting us in all possible ways to make this event possible. I would like to thank our media team of Sree Vidyanikethan Educational Trust for designing brochures and e-certificates and uploading it in the social media. One of our colleagues who usually uploads in social media, his daughter is not feeling well. Yesterday, he was in ICU. She had to undergo some operation. And in spite of that, he uploaded our brochure in the social media. A special thanks to Mr. Ravikrishna Mitta. And we pray that his daughter recovers very soon. And I thank one and all for this opportunity. And once again, God bless you, Sai Kiran. I'm not satisfied. I want at least 100 more webinars from you. Such was the impact of your today's webinar. We have thoroughly enjoyed. I am pretty sure most of us will not forget today's evening. Thank you and God bless you, Nana.
Yeah, I think one closing note, Sam, from my end. I'm really fortunate that I'm here. I think whatever, I mean, I wouldn't be, I think people will be surprised when I say I've studied in a government Telugu medium college school, at least till intermediate. I think whatever happened, magic happened in Vidyanikethan, and that changed my career. That's why I always have a deeper appreciation for what we have done. I mean, sir, you know that the number of seminars I went, how many I failed, and we used to discuss about that as well. Whatever I am now here is all because of whatever the education teaches us, right?
The adrenaline was always pumping in your veins. You always wanted there to go and perform, and the attitude and passion you had, that is today's success, because you went there to participate. Now we have a lot more opportunities for students than when you were a student here, and I'm pretty sure students will treat you as their role model. I want them to take you as their role model, because as you have very rightly mentioned, most of the students who are from Telugu medium, they find it very hard to communicate in English. Nobody would believe if you say that you have studied in Telugu medium in up to your 12th standard. Only one sentence which had this is Telangana slang. We appreciate that Telangana language and the way you speak Telugu. So that was the only sentence that you used in your entire webinar. Apart from that, your English silver bullet and many such expressions. I think I have to note down some expressions. Watch again your video in YouTube and note down those expressions and talk in the class. It was
so just a correction. So only till 10th class. I mean, I think intermediate was in English.
Up to 10th.
Yeah, up to 10th. Yeah, but I think, sir, one thing I'll say is like I'm really glad I'm here. I'm in presence of a lot of smart people, and trust me, I feel that the students who are here, a lot of people are smarter than me actually. It's always that, right? I think it's only that I got that opportunity to show what I could do. It's only that a lot of people are waiting for that first opportunity. More than happy if I could inspire at least one today. I think I'm more than I feel that it's I'm more than successful.
Yeah, you have inspired many people, many, including me. Why not jot down all the things that you need to note down and prioritize what to be done, and shut down the laptop and enjoy your passion.
I think, sir, one thing I learned from
because
both you and ma'am is the more you learn, the more humble you become. Okay, I think I have to learn more now.
yeah.
Humility comes with learning, right? That's what
learning. Yes, exactly.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks a lot, Sai Kiran. Madam, shall we end this session, madam?
So I think we can end the session. So Mr. Sai Kiran, thank you so much for joining us today. So all our blessings are always there with all our students, and special blessings and thanks to you. And I hope the session will have a huge motivation and an inspiration, stand as an inspiration for the students to take up on.
I think madam has lost the connectivity.
There is some technical connectivity problem here, sir. But anyway, once again, thank you so much, Sai Kiran. All our blessings are there with all of you. God bless all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Have a good day, guys. Have fun and all the best.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Sai Kiran.